Hey
Hey,
y'all, welcome back.
hi.
Welcome back. So today is the 1111 portal. So we've got today is a prime day for energy manifestation, for bringing up new things that you'd like to see come forward, and also closing doors, shedding the old. So
Yeah, we just did a real quick 11:11 portal ritual earlier, and if you want to go, we made that intentionally timeless so that you can go and check that out anytime you want, any day you want, anytime you want. Doesn't matter. It's still going to be relevant.
yep.
Kind of remind yourself the rest of the day to remember what you want to manifest and bring about in this time period. So
So
yeah,
if you're feeling particularly wrung out and tired today, or have been over the last couple of weeks, or last couple of days, that is the energy of this portal. Like I said, shedding and recalibrating your energy, because our with all these celestial events and everything that we've had going on with the solar flares and the asteroids and all that, your body now is trying to catch up with your consciousness. So, yeah, you may feel a little tired, a little achy. I know I am very tired today. But interestingly enough, coinciding with the 1111 portal, we've got a torrid meteor shower taking place today. And then in a couple of days, November 15th, is the last supermoon of 2024. So that is pretty much my talking points on that.
yeah, the full moon's going to be a big deal. Um,
It is.
it, Lots of things could possibly happen in full moon. We got a lot of pivotal points that are coming up. The We are in Mercury retrograde, so
Yay.
all Mercury retrograde is about is redoing, rethinking, every reword you can think, rewind everything. Re.
Yep.
So and think about, like, if you're stuck in something, let's say um, you have to redo something or whatever, don't get upset about it. Just go with the flow. There's a reason why you have to redo,
Yes.
and usually it works out better for you. Another thing that could go wrong would be appliances or your vehicle.
Communication.
Go wrong, yeah, communication, and that's and I'm a Gemini, so apparently because I'm ruled by Mercury, it's even worse, and I have a hard time communicating. Believe it
I'm
or
a I'm a Libra,
not.
and but I was born under a Mercury retrograde. So sometimes Mercury retrogrades are great for me, but
Yep.
I think the last one we had was like the most Mercury retrograde ever. That was a rough one. And I think it was like 21 days that one lasted.
Mhm.
Can't remember what month that was in. I think it was in the spring.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a tough one.
This one, post shadow, is going to be January 2nd. Before
Okay.
that, and I don't know if you know about pre shadow and post shadow, but it's like a 2 week period right before it goes retrograde. And I think, don't hold me to this, but I think it goes stationary on the 20th, and that's why we have that pivotal moment. And then once it goes into post shadow, usually what happens is a lot of the crazy stuff happens in the pre shadow, and then it happens in the post shadow, and then right when it goes direct or stationary, then it also has like a lot of energy to it. So, but this one's very potent. So,
As I have frequently begun to
something else.
say, what a time to be alive, man.
It is this roller coaster, man. But you know what? Like, I was thinking about it, the past few years, probably 10 years or even more, we've kind of been in a holding pattern where nothing really has been happening in our personal life. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, it's like we're not going anywhere, we're not doing anything, we can't move forward really. That's how I felt.
Same. But now it feels like it's catapulting forward, and it's like everything, bam, bam, bam. You got to do this, you got to do that, got to go here, got to go there, all
Yeah,
at one time.
yeah, exactly. And also, too, we have a lot of planets that are getting ready to move into air signs, which I think we talked about this last time. Hey.
You know?
But all that there's a lot of wind because I think we had all these signs in water signs, which brought about floods and things
Yep.
like that. Now we're going to the wind. We're going to be looking at things up in the sky. We're going to have wind events. Um, and lots of communications and things going across airwaves and
That's what I was just about to say, because the wind is gonna tumble the constructs of a lot of things that have been kept quiet. And if you know an air sign, we like to talk. So there's gonna be a lot of
also,
exposure. A
we
lot of
also like
exposure.
to pop bubbles,
Yep. We sure do.
especially me. Or that's what people tell me anyway.
Well, I
Oh,
think the Gemini is the more realistic, I think, of the air signs, because the Libras and the Aquarians, even though Aquarians they can be overly practical or whatever, they do have a tendency to keep their head in the clouds too about things, where Gemini is more like, shut up, look at this. Look, this is why.
yeah, but the funny thing is, we're like the children of the zodiac, so I don't get that at all. Like I'm perpetually 7 years old. It's
Yeah, but you're the twin, so there's a lot of duality there too.
true, 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 true. But yeah, I tend to, like I told you in the last video, I talked about how I'm skeptical of everything until, man, I don't know.
So
You
I'm
know?
the opposite. I will believe whatever you tell me until I find out different, and then I won't believe anything you ever say again.
Man, I'll entertain it all day long. I will entertain anything all day long. But
Right.
as soon as I start thinking about it, because I that dual Gemini side, I'm like, okay, what about this? But what about that? Yeah, I don't know about that. You know, it's kind of a conundrum. I wish I could. I wish I could stay in that dream world like you and the Pisces do. It'd be so nice.
Sometimes it is, but I
I
mean,
always have to think about all sides, and it sucks because there's too much. There's too much going on in my brain all the time.
see, I got the influence of Virgo too, because I'm right there on the cusp of it. So I can go practical. It's not as fun, but
Yeah,
I
exactly.
can. I can. And with Tommy is dead set Libra, right? So I have to be the one, I have to be the decision maker, because he's got that textbook Libra indecisiveness, you know?
Yeah.
And I have to be the one that sometimes is like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I have to do that a lot with the Pisces people in my life, and I have
Yep.
lots of them. Lots of them. Oh, what else we
So,
got?
do you want to pull a card or two,
Yeah,
maybe see what?
let me get my cards right here. I think I'm gonna work with the fairies today
All right.
and the angels. Let's see. All right. Ow, sorry. You want me to pull cards right now, or what are we doing?
Yeah, you want to pull a couple cards, just see what the energy of for what's coming down the pike, maybe for this week or today.
All right. Oh, fairies, talk to us. There we go. Ooh, it gave me several cards.
All right.
So here we go. Oh yeah, this is awesome. Manifestation.
Today is the day.
So it says, be very honest and clear about what you wish to manifest in your life. And now write it down on paper. Manifestation, step one. All right, and then we have divination. And it says, embrace your powers of divination, which are especially strong right now. You have the ability to see your current situation with crystal clear clarity. That's a tongue twister.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, for real. And then we have come together. It's got a lot of imagery.
Oh, these are hitting. These are hitting
I know, right?
dead on. Yeah.
It says fairies like to be busy, and a group of them is showing you that many hands make light work. Work as a team helps get the job done, which is what we're doing,
Yep.
right?
Teamwork makes the dream work, man.
I have the angel cards. We'll try that. See what they have to say. Immediately. Okay, it's the strength card, and it's Archangel Ariel. And it's great inner strength, release harsh judgments, forgiveness, and compassion. I like that.
That's a good message.
And we'll see what if the tarot cards will tell me anything about this week. And there goes one, and they're flying out too. All right. Well, it's definitely all about feminine power right now. And I got the 9 of Cups. So everything is okay. We just need to breathe. We need to sit down and just breathe and trust. This is what I got.
Nice.
And as you can see, her sitting there breathing, trusting the universe, stepping into your feminine power. Everything is fine. All the cups are open and ready to receive. That's the other thing, too. Be open and ready to receive.
Yes.
And also, too, in Feng Shui, the flow of the water comes towards you, that's good luck. That means it's bringing financial abundance and all that toward you. So that's the other imagery in this card that I'm getting.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So, you got runes you want to try?
I do. Let me pull them up and let's just see what we got.
Cool. Hey, we have somebody watching, I think.
Might be my mama.
One person. Comment if you're in there, if you don't mind.
All right. So this one, our first one, I gotta figure out how to get this. We got Jira, and Jira is harvest, right? It's reward, it's peace, it's contentment, it's commitment. So if you're looking to manifest the energy of Jira, now is the time to do that. It's the end of difficulties and you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have Manas, which is progress for the future. So I think that goes along with yours. And it looks
Yeah,
like an M. Looks like an M. So M for manifestation.
there you go. Yeah, the whole theme is about manifesting because it's 11/11 today, November the 11th.
Well, coincidentally, the third one that I drew is the blank rune. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And that means that you can't know everything of the future, but it is what you make it. So
Yeah, well, blank slate too.
that's right. New
You have
beginnings.
your own future.
Yes. But I think that also, remember, I was telling you about the I am stuff that I've been doing,
Mhm.
not as in I am, but I am, and that has really worked for me. So it's part of the law of one, and I wish my memory was way better than what it is, so I could just go into the whole history of it. But to make it short, because we know I can go long forever. But to make it short, basically, the I am modality is putting yourself in the position of receiving, of allowing things to happen. So instead of saying I apostrophe am going to do, I'm going to do this, you would say, I am going to be abundant. I am going to be wealthy. And just by using that as a mantra or an affirmation, you're automatically opening yourself up to receiving, to
Yeah.
allowing those blessings and that abundance to come into you. But it also works with healing as well, healing trauma. If you come from a background where you never felt good enough and you've got self-worth issues, using the I am mantra can really help to do a lot of self inner child healing. I am worthy. I am loved. I am deserving of abundance, things like that. So I practice that religiously. And I've been doing it for probably a good 6 months now.
Mhm.
And it has healed so much of the inner, and has helped me with a lot of inner child work
Yeah.
too, because you know, nobody will ever accuse me of being an overachiever. But a
I
lot
would
of
beg,
that
I would beg to differ on that. Honestly.
jack of trades but master of none. But a lot of that also came from, and my parents are not included in this because they have always been supportive of anything that I wanted to do, literally anything. I could tell my parents right now, I'm going to start an alpaca farm, and my mom would be like, "Great, I'm not feeding the animals." You know what I mean? But she would be there. She would push me to do that if I really wanted to do it. My
Yeah.
dad's the same way. But other people in my life, like when I decided to leave animal control and move to Georgia, we had an animal control officer who come up to me, and so I was making a huge transition. I was leaving that type of job, which was manual labor, blah, 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 and going into journalism, which I had never done before, didn't have any experience. And I remember this guy walking up to me and telling me that he couldn't believe I was doing that, you know, and that I would be back in 2 weeks begging for my job because he did not think that I was capable of doing something like that. And I've had many people tell me that throughout the years, that I couldn't do certain things because I didn't have education or whatever. So doing that I am, and you hear that stuff over the years and it really does stick with you even though you don't want it. You don't
Yeah.
want it to, but it does. So in doing that I am has really brought up to the surface a lot of the things that I have done that technically to those people I shouldn't have been able to do, and it really elevated my own self-worth. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
But so doing that, but it's also helped with receiving on the physical level. I needed specifically $750, and I was doing the I am going to get that $750. I am going to manifest that $750. And I manifested $1,700.
Nice.
Yes. But and it came like during exactly when I needed it. Exactly. So I am a huge fan of the I am, and you can look it up. There are a bazillion videos out there that go into, the whole philosophy behind it.
Mhm.
But I'm telling you, it works. It works.
Yeah, I've done the same thing. Not the I am principles that you're talking about, but somewhat the same thing. Trying to manifest things and um, putting it out to the universe. This is what I want, to happen and all that. Um, the
Yeah,
one
you
thing
manifested your house, didn't you?
I manifested a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. My husband, jobs, all kinds of things. But the problem is, and I don't want to bring anything down here, but you got to be careful about getting so stuck in having to be positive, it almost becomes toxic.
Oh no. Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so don't beat yourself up if you're not thinking positively all the time.
No.
Constantly remind yourself to think positively. It's okay. There's been times when I've manifested some good stuff when I was thinking pretty negatively. But
I
yeah,
think it's
I look at it.
impossible.
I think I look at it as more having confidence that things are going to work out. Maybe.
I think, yeah, and that's what I mean though, because even working with that with the self healing, if you're starting from ground zero where you have no confidence, using that I am principle does bring it up. It brings up your confidence level because you begin to realize, everything is practice. Everything is repetition. And you begin to realize at the longer you do that, I am worthy, I am loved, I am divinely guided, I am divinely protected. That even when the bad stuff does happen, it does not change that core principle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's impossible to be positive all the time. It'll never happen. It'll never happen. But when you focus on allowing those bad days, allowing yourself to have those low moments, because that's what the I am is. It is allowance. It
Mm-hmm.
is allowing yourself to flow with whatever's coming while not having your peace being shaken when the bad stuff does happen.
Yeah. Well, that and being disappointed and brokenhearted too. Um, but just know that even through the things that are bad or negative or whatever, that there's a lesson being learned there, or there's something coming to you that's better that
Hmm.
maybe you didn't even
Exactly.
think about. And it can be kind of hard to do when you're in the middle of it, when you're feeling like nothing's going right. But I have, and just by experience alone, you can say probably the same thing, but just by experience alone, that I've gone through some stuff and come out way better on the other side than I ever thought I would. And
There.
I look back now and I think, well, if that hadn't happened to me, then I wouldn't have the appreciation for what's going on for me
Yep.
right now. And I certainly wouldn't have had the experience to help other, because my whole thing in life has always been to help people um, the best I can. I don't want to see people in pain. I'm very much, I don't know what you call it, compassionate towards other people. And I don't
Well,
want
yeah, and you've
people
got
in
empathy.
pain. I don't want to see people hurt. I don't want to see people struggle. And so I've had to go through a lot of struggle in my life, and I don't want to see people have to go through what I've had to go through at all. So when you go through that stuff, and if you can help somebody through it because you've been through it, that's helpful. you know.
But I also, for me, I don't know about for you, but there are many times I am so grateful for those unanswered prayers, for those things that I thought I wanted so bad, and
Yeah.
was so heartbroken that I didn't get. And then hindsight's 2020, and you look back and you're like, man, thank you, I dodged a bullet. Because I'm a firm believer in if it's not meant for you, you're not going to manifest that. It's not coming. You're only going to get what you are meant to have. Now, I think you can change that in degrees, but I don't think that if I decided right now, right this moment, that I wanted to be a dentist. Nothing in the world is going to change the fact that I didn't do well enough in school to be a dentist, and I'm not going to get into dental school, and I can't go back to ninth grade and do better in school through high school and get those seals. So, it's also keeping realistic expectations on the things you want to see happen. But again, it's allowing too. It's allowing those blessings to come in and being grateful, showing gratitude for it too. If you got that $750 that you needed and you're like, yeah, but I wish it would have been blah, 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 that's not showing gratitude. Be grateful for what you got. Tommy complains sometimes that the refrigerator's too full, and I'm like, well, that's not a bad problem to have, Tommy. There were times where we couldn't afford the groceries to fill up a refrigerator, and now we can. So, you know, find gratitude in everything,
Right.
even the negative.
I'm here. I'm waiting for my dog to get back in.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah. It's hard to find that positivity sometimes when you're just down so low. Um,
Sure it is.
you
Yeah.
don't know how you're going to get out of it. And if you're like me, I'm full of anxiety. Like I have a lot of anxiety in my life, and always have. So it's hard to calm the self down enough. And I wish I had somebody to tell me, "Hey, it's going to be okay."
Right.
Sometimes, and I've had to learn the hard way. So that's why we're here, though. I think
Yeah.
I think that's why we're here, and I think that's why we do what we do,
Yep.
and get on here and talk to people about what we've been through and our experiences,
Yep.
help them through, because especially right now with all these changes that's getting ready to occur and has occurred, it's going to be tough on some people.
It is. And well, again, going back to what you said about this is why we're here and this is why we're getting on here. And I said it in I think the first live that we did that we're not here to bullshit you. I I, I don't meditate every day, or not in the sense that you know most accepted modality. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I don't follow the strict guidelines. I'm not a yogananda. I'm not a yogi. I'm not a guru or anything. I'm just a regular average person that doesn't have the time. I'm not vegan. I'm not going to sit here and tell somebody to do something that I'm not doing in order to get to a certain spiritual consciousness. Because again, I do believe if it's meant for you anyway, if it's meant for you to awaken at this time, there's absolutely nothing that's going to stop you from awakening at this time. Whether you continue to eat meat, whether you meditate or you don't meditate, whatever. And again, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it in people that I never thought I would ever see it in. That if you listen to what a lot of these other, like these gurus are saying, it would be impossible for these people to be waking up, yet here we are, and they are.
Yeah, you know, chronic healing. That's what I do a lot of. It talks about cleansing the body and watching what you put in your body so
Yeah.
you get a clearer channel. But that there's no hard fast rule. I mean, you know, we're not perfect, obviously, and I think
No.
that because we are so imperfect, especially our generation, like we have a lot of vices.
We do.
We grew up with a lot of vices,
Hmm.
and teenagers and all that. So um, we still have these vices that we're probably still using and are doing, and we are healers. We have gone the spiritual path. You know, I never tried to be a vegetarian. I did stop eating meat for a long time because my stomach was hurting a lot and
Right.
stand it. But I wouldn't be able to survive on just vegetables alone. There's no way.
No, and I watched this guy. I watch a lot of different stuff, but I watch this guy. Most of the time I put it on, put something on while I'm cleaning house, and I just listen. But I was listening to this guy, and he was talking about his spiritual journey and his path, um and he was saying, when he got really heavy into it, he quit eating meat. and everything. And before he quit eating meat, he was really healthy. He worked out every day. And then about 3 years into the complete veganism, whatever, he had lost muscle mass. He was sick all the time. He was having all these health problems. And he went to the doctor, and the doctor is like, your potassium is really low. You need some saturated fats in your diet and stuff like that. And he was like, no, I can't do that because my guru, my Yogananda told me that if I do anything like that, I'm going to pollute my system and I'm not going to elevate the way that I want to elevate. But he got so sick that he was finally forced to go back to eating in increments, of the meat and the saturated fats,
Yeah.
and his health turned back around and everything, and he realized he was still able to continue doing what he was doing. But for the average person, and I know because we're of similar financial backgrounds, they make it so hard for the regular person, for the average person, to be able to afford all these the healthy stuff, the organic stuff and whatever. And that's why I said before that I think a lot of people are waking up and they're starting to grow their own stuff because they can't afford to do that. Tommy and I looked into um I think it was AG1, which is a like a juicing supplement type of thing.
Hmm.
For one person, for 1 month supply is like $87.
Oh,
So then you buy that, but then you got to buy groceries at the same time. And if you got two people, so he and I, it's $200, almost $200 a month for
hmm.
two people. You can't afford to do that. A
Oh,
normal person can't do that.
no.
So I try to cut out, the refined stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started buying like unbleached flour and the raw sugar, and we try to stay away from any fast food. I know it might not look like it, but we do. But even then, you can't get away from that entirely because if you're on the road like we've been for the last 6 months,
Hmm.
you know, and it's not like you can just make a sandwich because then you're making sandwich with lunch meat that's full of nitrates and things like that. And my area doesn't have a Sprouts or a Whole Foods. So,
Mine either.
and even if they did, I doubt I could afford the uncured meats,
Oh, yeah.
you know. But it's um you have to be realistic in this. You
Hmm.
got to be realistic, especially if you're on a budget. You can't just stop eating meat and you can't just go full blown organic, and you can't put all of the your ability to elevate your spiritual consciousness on the fact of what you're eating. Yeah, you need to treat your body like a temple and be a little bit careful about the things you put into it, but for the most part, man, if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you're meant to elevate, if you're meant to wake up, and I think we all are at this time particularly, it don't matter. It really don't.
Hey, if you got clogged arteries, you're still going to elevate. I I can tell you from experience because apparently I have clogged arteries. But
I'm pretty sure a lot of us do, especially in our age group.
oh yeah, yeah, it's a normal thing for most people. And I don't see how because I don't eat nothing, but it's the
No,
way
there's a reason why we call you Bird.
that's true. I have lots of names, lots and lots. Of, yeah,
But I just wanted to put that out there because I think that there's a lot of pressure in our community, specifically in the light worker community, that you have got to adhere to a rigid set of instructions if you want to get where you want to go in your awakening. And I'm sorry, I just don't 100%. Now I do believe that after you do hit a certain level, with especially when it comes to the vices, when it comes to the addictions and things like that, you could still have your addictions and elevate, but when you get to that certain part in your spiritual consciousness, I think naturally you will drop that stuff It's not that you said, I can't do this anymore because I'm working on my awakening. It's that once you get to a certain level, you won't need those things anymore. And
Yeah,
so they'll just naturally fall by the wayside,
yeah.
you know.
If you're like me, who is stubborn as all get out, when you tell me
No, not
when you
you, God. Why
when
would you
you
say,
when you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna show you I can.
right?
By heck, but you take
Yep.
something, you say I can't do it. So yeah, I mean, don't get in that mindset because you're gonna feel deprived, and when you
Well, I
feel
think
deprived,
yeah, but
you're
also
gonna do it more.
I think it brings in feelings of, again, unworthiness because you're like, here I am. I'm trying to elevate my consciousness and I can't do it because I can't quit drinking or I can't quit smoking or I can't, whatever, so, and I think it puts people in a feeling of lack,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Versus saying it's meant for me and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I think once you get to a certain point, you won't need those vices anymore. But that's everybody's individual journey.
Well, too, it also brings you into this conundrum where a lot of people that don't do those things like drinking or smoking don't want to hang around people that are drinking and smoking because they're on this spiritual path. But you're going to find people just like us who drink and smoke, and we're on the spiritual path too. You will find your tribe.
Yes.
Um, they may not be close to you. I mean, like it took me years and years and years to find people that were like me and thought like me, and they don't even live here.
Yeah. Same.
So we're how many hundreds of miles away from each other?
Oh God, 400,
Yeah. So I mean,
500.
and all the people I found was online that I could talk to, and we've gotten together several times over the years. Um, but you're not going to find people around you sometimes that are going to think like you. But if you have like a crystal shop or something like that in your area, they might have some people there that you can hang around and be around.
Or I have local meetups. I know the one
Yeah.
in the neighboring town here every Saturday. They used to, I don't know if they do anymore, but they used to every Saturday have a local meetup,
Mhm.
so that's always good to check into.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Or, start one.
true. True. I thought about it, but
You
there's
you'd be
nobody here,
surprised how many people like us live around you.
right? Yeah. Used to years and years ago, I had a lady that lived close down here. Well, she had a crystal shop a few towns down from where I'm, like in a really rural area. Um, and I found her, and we got along so good, but she passed away and no longer is there. So
Mm,
bummer, bummer.
that is a bummer.
But yeah, I'm not holding out too much hope to find anybody around here. Got to be careful what you say around here. So
Yeah, you are in the
and how,
buckle.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Um, but people aren't very open to it around here either. I've tried to talk to people. Now there's some people in towns closer here that might be a little bit open to it, but it's hard to find. So it's a lonely, lonely life path.
Yeah, it is, and I think it goes in fits and starts too, because you will find people that you do gel with, and then those relationships will change and sometimes fall to the wayside too. Because like this path, yes, I do believe it is for everybody because I think we're all waking up now, and maybe in different ways and in different stages. But I think we've been on it now 25, almost 30 years, whatever, that we've been doing this. And these people who are just now coming into it, they've got a world of resources at their
Yeah.
fingertips, and they've got chat rooms and things like that we didn't have when we started. We didn't have the occult bookstores or or the crystal shops or anything like that that we could go into in our areas and meet others of like mind. Whereas now, I mean, holy cow, if you'd have told me even 5 years ago that my town would have not one, but two crystal and occult stores in it, I would have dropped my teeth because, that's
Yeah.
that type of place. But here we are. That's why I say what a time to be alive, man, because I see so many people that would have never even entertained the idea
Mhm.
of it's a whole different bag from religion. You know, it has nothing to do with religion. And spiritual awakening doesn't have anything to do with religion either. Because when it hits you, when you really start to understand and you start to see things for what they really are, you're no longer willing to be spoon fed information. So this path puts you on a quest of discovery, for lack of a better term. And you start finding things for yourself and finding others who are also searching. And I'm seeing that now, even with the most hardcore religious person I know, I'm seeing that opening. It might be little, but it's an opening. So I think it's going to be really interesting the next couple of years to see, how things shift and change from a religious mindset to a more spiritually conscious mindset.
Yeah, well, don't get on that because I was a very religious person before I came into this awakening, and I left religion, and then I went back and looked at religion to see what I could find that I could take from it. Um, and all religion has some piece of the truth
It
to it,
does.
and you can align with some of that truth even when you're not in that religion.
Right.
Religion. I don't think religion was meant to be overboarded like it has been anyway.
Well, it's
Uh,
become a control mechanism.
yeah, I think my take on especially the Bible is it's within yourself. That's where all God is at. That's where you
Well,
do the worship at.
100%. I mean, well, it says it in there,
Mhm.
that God's not in a building of brick and mortar or wood and stone, you know.
Yep.
But I think that's the thing though, because you start out in that little religious mindset where you're being told and controlled and manipulated into believing it's only that big. But when the awakening starts to happen, when your consciousness begins to expand, you begin to see how big things are outside of that little thing. Like I've been reading, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I just really discovered it, but I've been reading the Gospels of the Essenes,
Mhm.
which, if you think about your Bible, where you see, the books of, that have Christ's words in red,
Yes.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all that stuff. And the Essene gospel is the unedited version of the Christ words in red. So they were Jesus's words without being edited. And like I said, my memory's terrible. I wish I could tell you the guy's name, but you can look all this stuff up. Um, so there was this man in the 1800s, and he was on uh, he was doing the Silk Trail or whatever they call it through India and all that. And he was looking for the truth of Christ over there. So he was on a pilgrimage basically. And he happened on this monastery, and he asked who that apparently had the original scriptures of Christ, where Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all that stuff came from. And he asked to see it. And one of the monks was like, "Yeah, I'd love to show it to you, but I don't have time right now to go dig it out." And I'm just paraphrasing. I'm using my today's language, whatever. So
Yeah.
anyway, the guy leaves the monastery, and he's a little disappointed because the monk told him, "Well, the next time you come back, I'll dig them out, but I can't right now." So the guy leaves and his horse falters and throws him and he breaks his leg. And so the monks see all this happen. They bring him back to the monastery and the lead monk comes back and he says, yeah, I saw what happened, and to cheer you up, I'll have those scrolls dug out. So the monk digs the scrolls out and brings somebody in to interpret these scrolls for this guy. And as they're being read to him, this guy is like in wonder over the words and the gospel in these scrolls. So he asked the monk, he said, can I write this down? And the monk is like, yes, because this isn't ours. This is for the whole world. So this guy in 1864 is sitting laying in a bed in a monastery, convalescing with a broken leg, and he is handwriting these scrolls as they're being translated to him. And that's where the gospel, the scenes come from. So what you see in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is partially the truth, but the Essene gospel gives you the unvarnished of that. And it also predates those other gospels because now they're with the discovery of these texts, there's some idea that some of the so-called disciples that he had weren't even actually around him. And that things like the gospel, a lot of what's been written came from Paul, who actually never even had any contact with Jesus.
Right. Well,
You
that's
know,
another interesting thing too. Is somebody coined this term. I don't even know if it's a real word or not, but Orientalisms, which is like, for instance, in the Bible, it talks about a fish that Jesus said to go get the coin out of the mouth of this fish to pay the tax or whatever it was.
right?
And they thought it was a miracle when this guy went and found this fish that had a coin in its mouth. But there's actually a fish that is a bottom dweller, and it was very common for people to throw coins into the water, kind of like a wishing well, and these
Right.
bottom feeder fish would scoop it up. They would scoop up whatever's on the bottom of the river or whatever. And so you have to remember that in that time period, those people thought everything was a miracle that they did not understand.
Yep.
They didn't have modern science. Even we today do not know everything.
No.
What is it? The ocean's like 10%. Like they only know 10% about the ocean or
We
something.
know more about space than we
Yeah.
know about the ocean. Yeah.
But yeah, these little instances of things in the Bible that the people didn't understand, and what I came to find was understanding the Bible, which I never did until I actually wasn't a Christian anymore, because I was told look at the Bible in a spiritual sense and not in a literal sense.
Not to
And
question. Yeah.
take it out, take out all the expectations of what you're supposed to know, and see it in a spiritual way. And I remember something about the lamp and the light and all these different words that Jesus used that were kind of like in line with the chakras
Oh,
and how the yeah. So I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff in the Bible that you can take and bring it into a different, like a spiritual context.
yes. And touching on that too. So, you know, this was one of the things that I always questioned and I always wondered about accepted Christianity. So, you know, we hear about him being born, right? And then there's this huge gap from 12 to 32. And we don't hear anything. We're just told he was a carpenter. But there is some evidence that is surfacing to prove that was not true. That basically, when he was around 12, his mother took him. He went on a pilgrimage through Egypt, India, and went into China or the Orient, you know, Japan, places like that, where he learned and he studied and he was a scribe at certain points. And in India, he was actually revered as being basically the reincarnation of Buddha,
Mhm.
things like that, where he learned Reiki healing. Now you think what we've seen happen as Reiki practitioners, how that energy can really work and really affect somebody.
Yeah.
And you take that, 2000 years ago and use that modality in front of people who never, heard of anything of the like. And he always said, and it's even in the regular Bible, I think it's in Matthew, where he says, verily I say unto you, as I can do, so can you, or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was talking about his healing practice and being able to do the same things that he did. Now, I absolutely believe that he was born with a natural, strong connection. And I believe he was definitely an ascended master and probably reincarnated, chose to come back to Earth during that time frame. But I have happened on through the apocryphal, and I've read the Dead Sea Scrolls, I've read the Nag Hammadi scripts, I'm reading the apocryphal now, and I'm reading the Essene Gospels, and then all the side of this is, history that they have uncovered, based in there. Now there is this theory, knowing that he did do time I say it like it was in prison, but he wasn't. But knowing that he spent time in Egypt and was in the mystery schools in Egypt, right? So there's a whole idea now floating around, surfacing, that he was not technically crucified on the cross, that he actually walked away from that cross. Have you heard that theory? It's freaking fascinating. So when you get to a certain point in the Egyptian mystery school, right, you have to go through what they call a crucifixion, right? To graduate, you've got to do this. This is like your trial, okay? So you've got to go through this crucifixion where you're laid out on a table, and you have to learn to slow your breathing down and your heart rate, and basically, to the naked eye, and they didn't have devices back then to check things, appear dead. You had to be able, oh, that was cool. You had to be able to slow everything down with the appearance of being dead. So they're calling that now the idea of the first crucifixion. That's, he learned to do that. The second crucifixion, where he was put up on the cross, was that he was able to do that, and then he climbed down because, no, my dog's about to start. Sorry.
It's
Um, uh, in the Bible, where it says, it just kind of ends. The crucifixion happens, blah blah blah. You go into Revel. So the guys walk up and they find him sitting around a campfire, and he's eating a fish 3 days later. And in today's lingo, was like, I didn't die. I'm here. I'm back. Hey guys, was that he never really died to begin with, and he went on. He moved back to India, where he lived to be like 103 years old. So there's this whole theory, and you can really like do a deep dive into it. It is fascinating. It is fascinating. And his mother went with him into India. Well, on the way to India, she didn't make it. And there is a house, and I watched a vlog on this. There is a house on the border that India shares with, I want to say, like Turkey or Afghan, something like that. One of the Middle Eastern that bleeds into uh, India. Anyway, it was her house, and it is actually manned by two different countries. It's owned, they split ownership of it. You're not allowed to film inside of it, but they literally built their cities up around this thing, because there is historical evidence that proves, anthropological evidence that proves, that was Jesus's mother's house, and she's buried in that area. Now,
good.
nobody told me that 20 years ago when I was a kid.
Nobody probably knew that 20 years ago when you were a kid, but that's kind of interesting because, like I was telling you earlier, um, about the history of Pluto and Aquarius, which we're fixing to go into.
Yep.
Um, and it's a 20, like it's going to be here for like 20 years. Um, you can go back to modern day Iraq, which is Mesopotamia in that day.
Right.
And they were talking about that's like 674 to 647 BC. Um, they were into astrology back then, and then
Yes.
as you come, and that was like state sponsored too. Like they wanted the government wanted the astrologers to do these things. Like they had colleges, schools to do it. And then as you go up to the next period, which is 430 to 404 BCE, um, then you started to develop that practice a little bit more. It became even more natal astrology started to come about. And
Right.
but as you come up, and I was going to try to get to this point when you're talking about the Bible and what happened there, um, when Constantine became emperor, he became a Christian, and he decided to make Christianity legal because it was illegal to practice.
Right.
They actually Nero tried to persecute the Christians and stuff.
Keep talking. I'm going to go off cam for a sec.
Okay, and the Council of Nicaea was formed during Constantine's reign, and he was part of that. And then you get up, and these are all Pluto and Aquarius ideas, by the way. And then 550 to 574 CE, Justinian is the emperor. Um, you know, we keep going up. Parchment becomes a thing in the next time period, and we're starting to relive a lot of these little points here that astrology and Christianity and belief systems are going to come into focus in our Pluto and Aquarius time. We're going to be rethinking about what our belief systems are and what it means to be a Christian or to be whatever it is that you believe. So yeah, I see that people are going to start waking up no matter what their religious beliefs are,
Yes. Big
and
time.
probably incorporate or infuse their belief system, whatever it may be, with a more spiritual look to it.
Right. Yeah. The Essenes really opened my eyes to there is truth in the Bible, but it's mixed with a lot of convoluted. I I heard it said, and and I don't want to piss anybody off, but I probably will, and if I do, that's fine, whatever. That it's not Christianity, it was Paulinity, because most of what we see in the New Testament was actually Paul wrote that, and it was very. And if you go back and you read it with that in your mind, right, it's
Mm-hmm.
very egoic based.
Yeah.
Jesus didn't do the baptism of the water; that was a Paul thing, you know, type of thing. And that Paul never really had any contact with him whatsoever. But then you go and you read these Essene, I'll send you a link to it. But basically, his teachings, Jesus's teachings, talked about the Heavenly Father, our Father in heaven, but also the Earth Mother, and that you had to give equal homage and balance between the two. And it was a very rigorous process to become an Essene. But everybody liked the Essenes. Nobody messed with the Essenes because the Essenes did a lot of good for everything. So they were never at war with anyone for years and years and years. But it was a rigorous process to be accepted into that. You had like a 7-year trial
Mm-hmm.
where, and then if you take that into context, you had the tribulation, 7 years of tribulation, things like that. But you had a 7-year trial where you couldn't even live in their community. You had to live outside the community, and they give you, enough food, and they'd give you, maybe a donkey or whatever. And you lived outside their community for at least 3 years. And then you had to pass a certain test, and then you would move in. But it was all about the awakening, all about spiritual consciousness and growing in to that faith rather than just saying, you know what, today I am Buddhist. and I'm just gonna, adopt it and then whatever. But the Essenes worked on energy healing. They worked on spiritual consciousness. They worked on the balance of the masculine and feminine. And you get into these gospels, man, and I'm telling you, you'll see the parallels in the Bible,
Hmm.
but it's so much richer, such a deeper understanding of what Christ was actually saying than what we get from when we read a traditional Bible. Which now there's like I don't know how many versions of the Bible they're out there. You got the King James version, the new King James version, the new innovative version, and so on and so on. And they all are different. And some of them they use today's lay words and whatever. But I'm just telling you, it's beautiful. It is the Essene gospel is beautiful. There's prayers, there's mantras, and all this stuff was freely shared with this guy from 1864 who was just trying to figure out what the hell did Jesus do from age 12 to 32.
Well, let's not forget, going back to the Council of Nicaea, that there was a group of people that decided to put together what belonged in the Bible.
Exactly,
Um,
yes.
and so back in those days, paganism was very, very prominent, and they wanted to make sure people got along because they were going to bring in this Christianity idea. So they merged a lot of the pagan beliefs with the Christianity beliefs.
Sure, yeah.
So there's hints of that today. The
Oh,
Christmas
yeah.
tree, one of them. Easter is another.
Yeah,
The,
Sarah, yeah.
the egg and the bunnies and all. I mean, like all this stuff. We have infused paganism with Christianity, and it's only because Constantine decided to become a Christian, and he wanted everybody to feel like he felt,
Right.
or live like he lived, and believe like he believed. Because I guess there was a lot of warring and arguments over paganism and stuff, like because there were so many different belief systems, I guess, going on, and he didn't want them fighting anymore. So he decided to bring everybody together into this one lump of belief systems.
And
Am I
then you
right
get
about
in,
that? No.
yeah, yeah, yes, yes. But then you get where the Catholic Church come in the early days and convoluted it
Not,
even more, but it became about tithing and how much money the church could
yeah.
gain,
I'm
you
here.
know. I know, I got you. But yeah, I mean it's super interesting and there's so much out there and there's more every day that's really starting to surface and show itself as challenging what we've always been taught. But am I the only person as a child that questioned what the Easter bunny and eggs had to do with Easter? That nobody could really tell me how that worked in conjunction with the resurrection of Christ. And of course, now I understand, but because they took that those pagan traditions and blended it in so they could get more participation. But yeah, it spirituality, man, will send you down some rabbit holes.
Yeah, it will. Definitely. Like we'll put in some links. I'll put in after the video uploads. I'll put in some links of the Essene thing, and
Yeah.
also where I got this history of Pluto and Aquarius is astrology podcast on YouTube. They have that's where I got some of that. I'll tell you another thing that if you want to go deep down into something that'll blow your mind, is solar worship.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because all the stories in the Bible came basically from solar worship. The
Mhm.
stories that we know of in the sky, it's wild. Like it'll blow your mind. Um,
Well, that was like,
but
yeah.
you,
How have you ever listened or read the Emerald Tablets?
I have, yeah.
That is a mind trip in itself because we're talking about Sumerian, talking about the Sumerian creation tablets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
that were found, that were discovered, that were written long before, there was a Christ, even the concept of a Christ, but goes into the prediction of Christ, coming down, or, being born onto this planet and everything. So it's so weird to me now that people only accept the idea of one book, when now there's so many discoveries that have shown that there's so much more to the story than what that Bible told us. And I mean, yeah, you got to dig
Right.
for some of it, but I mean, you can go online, you can read the entire Nag Hammadi scripts. You can read the Lost Book of Enoch. You can read the Gospel of Thomas, which was removed.
Yep.
You can go on there and read that. You just got to want to do it. You got to want to search and understand. But I really do believe, which of course, Jesus wasn't Jesus's name, but because there was no J in that alphabet back then, but
Yeah.
um there's a lot of people that I would love to sit down and have a conversation with, and he would be definitely one of them, because I would like to ask him some questions. I'd like to be like, how do you feel that people have created an entire religion that has started wars, and calamity and destruction and division? How do you, when that was the last thing that he would have stood for? Because
Yeah.
when you read the Essene Gospel, you really understand what Christ's consciousness is about, and what he was really trying to do in that time. And I
Yeah.
think that whatever we have bastardized off of that is really sad.
That and that'd be true for any belief system. When you get too high on your horse, I guess you'd say,
Yep.
where you think that you know
Yep.
everything and your way or the highway type mentality. Um, that's not. I don't think religion. I don't think that spirituality, as it pertains to religion, is what was meant for that to be, in reality. You
I
know,
would 100% agree with that.
when you start.
100%.
Well, I mean, yeah, back in Constantine's time, I mean that formed the church. That made them say, "Oh, and astrology also was pushed to the side." Then it became a thing where you didn't want to hear people doing that, and then they made it illegal for a really really long time. Um, when you push things out like that and you not allow people, because see, that was the thing, they wanted control over your salvation. They didn't want you to have control over it,
Yep.
and it became a money thing. And
Yep.
it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And you got money in the mix now, you ain't never getting rid of that stuff. No wonder it's survived all this time.
I
You know,
think that's coming. I think that's coming to change also. I mean, yes, we will always have some form of currency or whatever, but I think that whole standard is about to change as well.
well, even in spirituality, like we do, we love crystals and all that, and people are starting to make it more into the merchandise that you can get. It's like, wait a minute now, are you do you really want that crystal because you want to use its properties and work with it, or do you just want it because it looks woo woo and you want to look like you're woo woo? You know?
Right. Yeah. Yep. Well, you also got a lot of people, and we've talked about this too. You got a lot of people who, I'm trying to say, I'm trying to be diplomatic about it. Um, who charge ridiculous prices for things that should be available and affordable for everybody who
Yeah.
wants to do it. I mean, I seen an ad years ago. Do you remember that old uh, this is a newspaper term, but it is true. It was a tabloid, and tabloid just means how it was laid out.
Yeah.
But I think it was the Age of Aquarius.
Yep, I know
Do you
exactly.
remember that? I don't. Do they even still publish that?
No, I don't think so.
But I remember looking through that. I would grab it anytime I went into one of the stores that had it, and you could buy an ad in there and whatever. And I remember seeing an ad for somebody who was advertising for Reiki attunement, and level one was like $2,000.
Oh, it's way more than that now.
And I mean, I was like, holy shit!
Well,
Oh my god!
well, you know that when Reiki first came available on the scene here in the states, wasn't it Takata that was charging like $10,000
Yeah,
for?
but she was doing that to keep the lineage pure.
Right.
These people, some of these people I've delved into got some shady lineage and they're charging that kind of money
Yeah.
for it. Yeah, I understand why Takata did it.
Yeah.
I get it. I get that. But at the same time now, I think that if you're in this, and that was a whole different time when she did that also. But if you're living in this time right now, and you're involved in the light worker community, and and you are at a certain level in your spiritual consciousness, that that we're here to help people awaken, and we're also here to help guide them through their awakening, and you have this resource. I think making it unaffordable to the very humanity that you're trying to help come
Hmm.
into all this, smoothly transition from their sleeping state to an awakening state, and making that almost unattainable is terrible. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I mean, I understand that's my opinion, and I'm not saying that you should do it free either, because I'm a firm believer, if make money off of your gifts, if you can, but also be reasonable and understand that you've got this single mom over here who feels called towards that modality, and you can't expect her to choose between feeding her kids and paying her rent, because these callings get very strong, that.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know that, and I'm not going to drop any names, but I have a customer, a client, that I literally have had to say, I know you're on a fixed income. Stop buying stuff from my shop until you build yourself back up. Because
Yeah.
she's on disability, and she was literally taking money away from her utility bill and away from her food grocery bill
Hmm.
to buy the crystals that I sell in my Etsy store. And I had to tell her, quit.
Yeah.
If you want something, let me know. I have no problem deactivating that listing and holding it for you till you save the money up in your time. I don't want to feel like somebody's not going to eat tonight or cannot pay their light bill or their heat bill because they wanted something that I had to offer. And you know so yeah, I do think you should make money off of your gifts, or whatever you're doing in this community.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think you need to have a little bit of compassion, a little bit of empathy, and not make things so expensive that somebody hurts themselves trying to get it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, another good way to do it would be donation based, or a trade of some kind,
Yeah,
or something. But I mean, we've done things like that with no one paying us anything.
exactly. Yeah.
But maybe they do something for us later, or whatever. I do know that you're supposed to match energy with energy,
Yes.
um, and money can be a form of energy.
Sure it is.
But things can, we had this one lady we did a healing on years and years ago that gave us this little thing that she made that had hooks on it, which we still use
Yeah.
for her payment. Um, it means a
Sorry,
lot to
my
me. I
battery's
know that.
showing that it's dying. Hang on
No,
just a
it's
sec. Keep talking.
she needed that healing really badly and did not have the money at all to pay anything for anything. But she did give us what she was able to give us, and we didn't need it, but took it anyway, you know.
Yeah.
Because to me, when I look at it, I think about her and I think about how much she really, really needed that healing and how grateful she was to get it, you know. And I definitely know I've been through that in my life where I needed some help or um, a doctor or something like that and couldn't afford it. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes.
if I can get some help somebody, I'll help them. It'll come back some way or another. But
Yep.
it does cost money to some extent to do that kind of stuff. I mean, we have to go to, you know, get attuned. It costs money for us to do it, and then
Yeah.
buying the books and all the things that we have to have. It is expensive to do that to a certain extent, but you know,
I mean, I'm
I,
a firm believer in recouping your loss,
I
right? It's like
absolutely.
with me, I go into people's homes and I cleanse their homes,
Mhm.
and I have gone as far as a different state to do that for somebody.
Yeah,
It cost me money to buy the materials to cleanse. I make my own candles and all that stuff. That takes wax. I got to buy the wicks and all that stuff for the candles that I use to cleanse, not to mention the herbs and the salt and then the gas and all that stuff. So I get that. I get it.
yeah,
And you should, and I believe in a profit too. You should make a profit,
yeah,
you
absolutely.
know, but I just don't think if I go to somebody's house to cleanse, I'm not going to charge them, $1,000 to do it.
Right.
I couldn't sleep at night if I did that.
Yeah, that's why I've always done everything to donation. Like,
Yep.
if you want to give me something, I'll take it. Whatever you want to do, you know. And some people might be uncomfortable with that, but it's always the way I've been. I can't. I don't feel right putting a number on it for myself. You know, that's just
Exactly. I'm the same way, which is
uh,
probably why, I'll never be extremely wealthy.
yeah. That could be a component, possibly. But you are not poor.
No, I'm by no
So
means. No.
I am abundant. Are
Hmm.
we supposed to say that? Like,
Exactly.
um, no. Well, I personally think, and especially this year and next year, that things are going to change for a lot of us in that area.
Yeah, I agree.
I just had that feeling. I've been having that feeling for a while. Um, Something's coming down the pike for that.
Well,
So,
funny enough, Tommy come in the door last night. He was outside. I don't know what he was doing. I was in here, but he was doing whatever it is Tommy does when I'm not looking. So he come back in and he had this look on his face, and I said, "What?" And he said, "I just had the most amazing feeling that something great is about to happen." And
yeah,
you know how he can be a negative Nancy sometimes. I
yeah,
mean, he can. And for him to say that just out of the blue, and it was all over him, you could see it in his face that he really did have like this moment of like epiphany that really good things are about to start happening.
yeah. Well, there is astrology to back that up. I just
Hmm.
watched a thing about that last night. Of course, you got to be careful with watching. And here I am going bursting bubbles again. Um, but you got to be careful when you're uh, looking for like your horoscope or whatever because it's so general. It's just a generality that you're looking at. And they'll say things like, "Oh, you know, this is your money season, and you're going to make all kinds of money, and the only thing you make is like $20 extra the way." I've had that happen
Well,
before.
but they're on the optimistic side. Sometimes $20 is a lot
That is a
for
lot.
somebody that, especially if they don't have any money in the bank and they needed that $20 for gas to go to work. You're just like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, expect as much as you want to expect. Just
Yep.
don't get down in the dumps if you don't get it all or what you thought. But
Yep.
um, no, like I am a firm believer in if you feel it, Like I've been feeling it for a while, and then the astrology starting to back it up, then you can probably bet that that's what's going to happen. How it's going to look, we don't know, but
Right.
how it's coming, we don't know. But do everything we can to make it happen. That's for sure.
And well, that goes back to what I said in our first video too. I think that's where we need to start to really get excited about these times because again, they're unprecedented. The astrology coming into it's unprecedented. There's nobody alive that has experienced Pluto and whatever it is that you're saying is coming. I'm terrible with this stuff.
Pluto in Aquarius.
There you go. So there's nobody who can really say what all this is going to mean. And it's like that card you drew last time, what if everything's okay? What if everything does go right?
Ooh, let me get those cards again, and we'll see if it has another question for us to ponder.
Okay. Do it.
Because I'm about to be done. I think today. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to because I may have to go pick him up, and I don't know when he's gonna text me. But it's
Okay.
getting on that time where it could be possible. So
Alrighty. So yeah, we'll close out with this card. So let me. Okay. Oh, hey guys, they really want to tell us a lot of stuff today. I got two cards.
I love it when it happens, though.
All right, so I'm gonna try this one first. How can I be more kind to myself and offer more grace in this very moment? That's
See,
a lovely idea.
it is.
So it says, growing our self love is medicine to this world's broken heart. When you heal, we all heal. When you give yourself more grace, you are able to give the world more grace.
Yes, preach it.
Beautiful, beautiful. The second card, does my life have room for more pleasure and play? So it says, in what area are you lacking pleasure right now? Maybe in a certain relationships or with work. Is it possible to shift the seriousness of life to experience a more creative, wild, and playful side of you?
I'm a firm believer in that. You got to
Yeah,
play.
definitely laugh. Here, I'll give you something. I shared this with you earlier, right? Let's see. Hold on a sec.
It never gets old.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like we both had that little boy's face at one time or another,
My face is like that just about perpetually.
perpetually.
Perpetually. But yeah, I like this. Does my life have room for more pleasure and play? Does my life have more room for abundance? That's the
Very
other thing.
good.
And because I do feng shui, I'll give you a little tidbit of what we can do to bring in more abundance. The front door, um, clean your front door, wipe it down, make sure it's all in working order and everything. Sweep around it, like on the outside. Sometimes we just don't mess with that kind of stuff, but sweep that front area, make it nice and neat looking. That will invite more abundance into your life.
Now I have a question
Yeah,
about that because I'm not versed in feng shui. You've come to my house and moved stuff for me. Um, when it comes to because us, we don't use our front door.
right.
We use our back door. So would the same apply? Would you take whatever application you would use for your front door and apply it to your back if that's what the
Yeah,
door that you use?
all right, you can, but the rules are even if you don't use your front door. And I'm really bad about this because we have a porch that's kind of rickety out here where our front door is, so we don't use it. But every now and then, you should open that door. Um, you open your front door
Yeah,
a
the
lot,
dogs go out there. Yeah.
so it's okay. But you could do both for the front and back door. But the front door is the main heart of the home, entrance to the home in Feng Shui. So yeah, the front door needs to be taken care of and always kept pretty, nice and
Yeah.
looking nice and cleaned out and everything. And the funny thing is, over the summer, because we don't ever go out that front door, we had, excuse me, a wasp nest in it that
Oh
they had
God.
gotten in between the screen door and the door. So I wiped all that down and cleaned it and everything. And right after that happened, then I had some opportunities come to me to make a little bit of money. So, and I wasn't even thinking about it. And then after I was like, wait a minute. Oh yeah, I forgot. Because I have like a little money jar up there. It's like a
Right.
little intention thing, blessings for the house or whatever.
Sure.
And I've had it up there forever, but I never opened the front door. And I was like, you know what? You're supposed to open that front door at least once a month, at least, to allow the energy to flow through your home, especially if you
Right.
want opportunity. So, but yeah, in Feng Shui, and I'm gonna do a little video on that. I keep procrastinating. I
Yeah, I
keep
think
telling
you should.
but I'm going to do a little video. You won't see my face. I'll have to draw to show you what I'm doing. But show you how to do hold on.
Spit it out, sister.
A Bagua map for your home or business or whatever. But I'll show you how to draw that out to find what areas what.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do um, little quick videos to explain each section of the home, what you should do, just little quick little things. And then maybe one day we'll do a live, and if we get some people that get up on the channel here and want to talk and ask us questions, and I can answer some of that. um, but yeah, I think to leave it off for today, clean your front door, wipe it down, make it pretty, sweep the area around it, and um, you can even pray over it, put some Reiki into it if you've got that. You know,
Yeah, I
invite
do
that
that.
energy.
I wipe my front and back down with Florida water, which I make my own Florida water. Uh,
Mhm.
Wipe that down. I do the cinnamon into the door, but you know me, I'm a cover my bases type of person, so I blow the cinnamon in both doors, just to be sure.
Yeah, try that and see if that didn't help a little bit. We've got this, especially today because it's 11/11. Would be a
Yep.
good day to do it because we want to manifest abundance for everyone and whatever else it is you're wanting. So opening that front door and letting the air in for a minute, letting that energy flow through your home.
Yep. 100%.
All right. Well, it was
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
Have
Always,
fun.
it's always a good time. Yeah. Have fun. Play.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm going to. I'm gonna go watch something funny today.
Good. Good. All
All
right. I
right.
love you. I'll see you next time.
We love you too. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
See you
everybody.
soon.